there's no word to explain a performance like this. First 25 minutes were maybe the worst I have ever seen, and I hope that the system we change to give energy and mood was the wrong decision. If it's that, it's my responsibility. We change system, we play with 4 at the back, and if this is the mistake, it's my mistake.
Did that first 20 minutes today maybe prove or show why yourself and Antonio have always played 5 at the back before till now? Is that exactly why?
We never know this if we don't try again to do it. But we have to analyze the situation. Now maybe it's too early, and if we go rush to explain and to analyze everything, it's really early. We have to analyze all together, because we need to take a breath after a performance like this. We have an important game Thursday, and we have to show something different.
You say that that's the worst performance that you've seen. Is this the sort of lowest point in your career, coaching and playing?
Career. I was an assistant since 4 games ago, so it was a bad performance, of course, because in 21 minutes we consider 4 shots and 4 goals. So worse than this is very difficult to see, but there are reasons. We have to find the reason why, and if it's the system, it's easier to change. We change system again, and we have the result. If it's not the system, we have to analyze why.
Christian, it looked like Daniel Levy went down to the dressing room after the game. Did he speak to you and the players afterwards?
I didn't see him.
What happened to Hugo Lloris?
He got injured. He has a muscle problem. He cannot continue the game. We needed to change him.
What did you say to the players at half time? And what can you say after half time?
That we have to play the second half to save the face of the team, to find a bit of confidence is possible, if it's possible, to prepare the next game. So that was important, and to don't go rush to create problem, to finish maybe with a red card. Don't go rush, play and find the confidence we need to play the next game.
How do you respond? With your team selection in this game, will you stick by these players, or will you have to change them after a performance like that? And if you can change them,
Sorry.
will you look to kind of remove some of the players from the team in the next game as a response to that? Will you stick by them?
We don't have many players. Today we had in the bench Ben Davis and Clement Langlais, but we can use them only for 15, 20 minutes, taking a risk. So I didn't want to take risk with them, because obviously the game after 30 minutes was gone. It's strange that after 1 year, last season we gave them 5-1, and now they gave us back. This is strange, because we have to analyze that this season is very tough for everyone, but we have to find the energy with all the possibility we have. So we don't have a lot of time to do this, and we have to be responsible, everyone. We have to take a breath tonight, and tomorrow we have to start.
I have to ask. I was going to say, I have to ask. Obviously, after a result like that, are you concerned about your own position?
This is a question. I have no answer for this, because it's not a question for me.
Did you get a chance to train with the players playing back four system this week? Because they looked so unprepared for it.
No. We train, yeah.
Were you still surprised by how badly it went?
Surprise?
Were you surprised by how it went then if you've been working on it?
Yeah, I was surprised.
You said earlier, if the problem was the system, you can change the system. It sounds to me like you think that maybe there's another problem, such as the mentality of the players.
The other problem are many problems because I repeat, this season is not a normal season, and maybe many things happen, and so there is not only one thing to take care. If you want to analyze all the season to arrive here in a match like this, that you have to play an important match to reach your target that is a top 4, and you start like this, is a surprise for everyone, and I hope that the system was the problem.
Christy, do you want to stay in charge of Tottenham for the rest of the season?
Yes.
Christian, last month after the draw at Southampton, Antonio Conte said, I see selfish players, I see players who play with no heart, they cannot play under pressure, they don't want to play under pressure, it is the easy way. Was he 100% spot on?
No, today what I can say is we have to apologize with everyone, and I hope that today is my responsibility, because changing system was my decision, and so, like I said, I hope was this the problem.
Christian, can your team still finish in the top 4 after the results?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any level, it's wonderful to have a start like you had today.
Yeah, it's not often you have a start like that in a game, especially one of such importance for us. Full credit to the players. We were high energy, a lot of quality, some great goals.
For Jacob Murphy, a player who had to be patient for a lot of this season, he was often used off the bench, but he's become such an important part of the starting team for you now.
Yeah, he has. He's grown into the team. I mean, he's got a lot of qualities. He can play various positions for us. He's lightning quick. And today took his goals really well, especially the second one was an incredible strike.
Yeah, a lot of talk about, obviously, the financial backing you've got at the club, but the likes of Murphy and Joe Linton, who were there before the new money arrived, and the way that they've stepped up has been a huge part of the story.
Yeah, they've been incredible. I mean, they're just incredible personalities, first and foremost, and they've really worked at their games. For me, they've all improved, and they've become integral parts of the team. So delighted with the whole group, everyone today, the whole squad. It was a real team effort, and massive win for us.
I know there's a way to go, but does it feel, when you watch the teams, does it feel like you're watching a Champions League side?
That's not for me to say. It's difficult to comment on that. I saw a very good team playing today. Two very good teams, but we were at the top of our game. But we know there's a lot of games to go, a lot of points to play for still.
Brilliant. Well done today. Thanks very much. Cheers, Eddie.
Pretty honest assessment from Spurs club captain Hugo Lloris. But two notable things he said there. The lack of pride of his teammates and lack of fight, Tim.
But the manager said it, Stellini said it before the game. We saw him interviewed and he offered it twice to us. Need to fight. We need players who are prepared to fight. So they didn't have players who were prepared to fight today. It's all right talking the words. They need to show it. The players need to go onto that pitch and show it and show pride for the shirt, certainly when they lose the first goal and it looks like they're capitulating. They're all over the place. The shape was wrong, in my opinion. They've gone to the 4 at the back for the first time in the Premier League this season. Why? In the most important game, when you get into the business end of the season, why would you change the shape? Because they're 5th in the league. We know it's not been pretty. I've said that time and time again. It's not been great. But why would you change that? Why would you throw all of that work out of the window just to go on this one game away at Newcastle on the back of their defeat at Aston Villa and go to a 4 at the back? And not only that, when you're putting fullbacks in, you're putting wingers in as fullbacks. Pedro Porro and Perisic as your fullbacks. They had no identity. They couldn't get near anyone. Talking about lack of fight. You haven't got the solution. You haven't got the shape to get into contention. They got pulled around all over the place. They were getting run. They were picking the midfield. Midfield players were picking the ball up and they were looking up and the Newcastle players were all over them. They were smothering them. They were just closing them down. And the contrast, when Newcastle had the ball, Tottenham just sitting off them. They were letting them play. They were running off the back of them. Pedro Porro didn't have an idea where anyone was on a few of them goals. Perisic on the same side. They're interested when they got the ball and they want to move forward. Midfield was too stodgy. The young boy Sarr, I felt sorry for him today. He was getting coached from the outset, from the warm-up by Stellini, as if he was a young boy just trying to make the trade. We know he's a young boy, but it's not time before the game to make him aware of some. I mean, he was almost scaring him into a performance there today.
Yeah.
He was saying, like, settle the boy down. That's what you need to do. Settle him down and tell him to go and express himself, because him, Skip and Højbjerg, non-existent today.
Well, this is what we were alluding to before the game, right? In the build-up, was Stellini taking the unusual approach for an acting head coach to take a certain player through his training drills. He was then spoken to by Eric Dyer. When you're just 20, does that make you more nervous?
Yeah, I think too many messages. I mean, the manager on the pitch I've never seen before doing like little drills like that. And then obviously Dyer's trying to give him a bit of a chat. This is the first goal. I think you should just help it on. Get in your position, as Tim says, he knows better than me, he's a midfielder, but help it on, get their shape. Not trying anything too special at the very start of the game. And the 5-0 down at this, and you take him off, you know, it's embarrassing for the kid. I actually feel for the kid as well. He's only 20 years of age. Like, where does he go from here? How do you build him back up again? You know, so I think Tim's right with the tactical. You know, you don't start away to Newcastle with 4 at the back. You haven't started all season. Sarr started second time this season, I think, from the start. Yeah. So there's so many big decisions. It semi felt like he was making decisions to actually get the sack. Get me payoff, get me back to Italy with Conte, and I'm done with this. That's how it felt.
That is a big call, bringing in a 20-year-old. Longley, he came in for, was on the bench. So it's not as if he was out of contention from the matchday squad. Now, look, I just want to pick up one thing you said. The lack of fight, mentioned by Stellini, mentioned by Lloris. It has been also mentioned by Antonio Conte after the Southampton draw. I mean, he put a lot of attention on the players. Now, is he vindicated by what he said? Has anything changed post-Conte?
No, absolutely not. Anything changed? No, nothing's changed. Well,
could you argue things have actually gone worse?
To be fair, Antonio Conte's side never gets beat 6-1 if the manager's there. He never loses a game that heavy. Never. You know, it's not pretty to watch. Sometimes they sit back, you know, when they go ahead. We know all that. You know, they've given a lot of leads away, you know, when they were in winning positions. But they also chased some defeats down into draws and possibly won the game. They're not a front foot team. Nothing has changed since he's left. Nothing has changed. But an Antonio Conte side would never get beat 6-1. Never. Because of the demands and the fire in the belly of the manager. Wouldn't allow it to happen. But unfortunately, they look like they're a ship without a rudder there today.
And already Shay's mentioned about Stellini maybe looking for a way out. I mean, that's quite something. But do you expect there to be another change in the dugout? As a result of what we've seen today?
Yeah, but what is there to play for him? You know, we're still there, don't get me wrong, but it can only fail if you're a new manager going in there now, because they're going like this, they're hanging on. They've got tough games. You've got Man United at home next, at home to Man United, at London Stadium. Can you imagine the atmosphere there? And then they go to Liverpool, and then they get Aston Villa. I mean, the games, and all these teams are chasing them and fighting for the same prize, which is Champions League or Europe. To fall out of Europe, catastrophic for Tottenham and Daniel Levy. Yeah. You know, catastrophic.
Particularly when Chelsea and Liverpool aren't at their levels that we're used to seeing.
I said, at the start of the show, when they sacked Conte, it was farcical they didn't bring a manager in then, because they're right in the mix. Yep. Now we talk about their 6 points adrift. The Newcastle got a game in hand as well. They're probably out of it after today. They look like the white flags out already. The players, the staff, they look like they're done. But what I'm saying is, from the hierarchy at Tottenham, it should have been, Conte got to go. As Tim says, the interview was, he took everybody out, the players, the fans, the owners, he took everybody out, so he had to go. But then bring someone in, even if it's till the end of the season, to give him some sort of fresh impotence, fresh ideas to try and cement top 4.
But much is made of Daniel Levy and his boardroom acumen. Where is the succession planning here?
Well, there is none. I mean, he expected Antonio to be there. All of a sudden, he can't control the mindset of the manager. All of a sudden, there was a switch went off, and he just said, I've had enough of this. You know, perhaps it was the illnesses or the loss of his friends. You know, he took a lot of personal problems, but he cannot legislate for that. But a team like Tottenham should have a contingency plan. They should have someone lined up, you know, targets what they can go and get. It's Tottenham. You know, you pick up the phone at someone's coming to work for Tottenham. But now, between now and the end of the season, with this little games left and such tough games, would anyone come? Anyone who comes in can only foul. It's a miracle if they finish in the top 4 now. An absolute miracle. And would I bet they would finish in Europe now? Probably not. If 6 is going to be the
Do you think that's even a doubt?
Europa Conference League is the best they can hope for.
OK. Tottenham weren't prepared. He got it wrong with the system. Tim, what did you make of that?
Well, I think he got it wrong with the personnel. I think you listen, he's took a massive risk with the system. Of course he has, because they've never gone to a 4 at the back in the Premier League this season. So why on a very big game would you change it, which is alien to your squad? But I think it could have worked. I think he'd give more energy. That's what he said. Well, it certainly puts another player into midfield or a forward area so he can put more pressure on. But pick the right players. If you're going to, and the fullback areas for me were glaring. I said it before the game. I'm not saying it in hindsight now after the game. I said Newcastle will exploit Tottenham down the left and the right-hand side because the fullbacks are wingers, really. Pedro Porro's got his qualities when he wants to go forward. Perisic wants to go forward as well. They do not want to defend. They detach themselves from the centre-backs and they leave gaping holes and they're not switched on defending out without when they're okay on 1v1 situations, someone's dribbling at them.
Yeah.
But when Joe Linton's running off the back of you all of the time, you don't even know he's there. And next time you see him, he's putting the ball in the back of your net. So it's the personnel. It's the personnel. Yes, it's the system. It is the personnel. But after they go a few goals down, Manish, it's about that. It's about heart. It's about what you got underneath your shirt.
Yeah.
And they didn't show a lot today.
Shay, if you're in the Spurs dressing room right now and you're watching your interim head coach saying how he got things wrong and the team weren't prepared, what does that do to his level of authority?
It weakens it. I think it's his interviews, I don't know, weakens his position, if I'm being honest, both at the club, with the hierarchy and with his team. Because he's prepared them all week, supposedly prepared in inverted commas, but he said twice in the interview we weren't prepared. So it strikes me as someone who just, I've already said this, but it looks like he wants to get paid off. He'd get back to Italy and move on with Antonio Conte for the next job, wherever that might be.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if he's there by the man. You talk about Man United on Thursday night. I'll be surprised if he's in charge then, because it just looks like the players have down tools. He's coming out after games talking like that. We weren't prepared. His job is to prepare the team they play. And then to change the system first time in the Premier League. We talked about Eddie Howe. Can he play Wilson Isak up front? No, because they're in third place in the Champions League because this is the system they've played all season. The players know it.
Yeah.
And then such an important game like today, he goes and changes the system. It makes no sense.
He looks beat. He looked beat before the game. He certainly looks beat after the game. No surprise. You know, it's when you take a heavy defeat, obviously you take it all. As a manager, you take it on your chin. I agree with Shay. I think they're better off letting him. He looks like he wants to be relieved of his duty. He looks like that. I don't know him personally. It looks like he needs to go back to Italy with Conte and let Ryan Mason take it. Let him take the reins. You're going to do no worse. Change something up. They're going to need a spark. At the moment, on the back of that defeat, doesn't look like a spark's coming. And I will say it again. After a back of a 6-1 defeat, the last place you want to go is at home when there's doom and gloom surrounding your club at a very difficult environment. And if I was a Man United player, I'd be relishing that one.
Okay, time will tell if there's a change in the dugout once again for Tottenham this season. Let's go back to the game itself. We've seen 1-0. Let's have a look at 2. Joe Linton, found by Fabian Schär. I mean, this was a terrific ball, really, from him.
Yeah, it was a carbon copy we've seen in the West Ham goal. Joe Linton's run off the left-hand side, and as Tim said there before, the fullback hasn't got a clue where he's at. You know, it's a brilliant first touch from Joe Linton. Again, gives Sherka, but you see the run he makes. He's onside. This touch makes the goal because it takes the defenders out, pats it around Lloris, and it's a brilliant finish. But again, defensive, one ball like that should not take out your whole back four, no matter who plays or what system you play. That's just unacceptable. But a great finish from Joe Linton. What this first touch finish is absolutely superb and sets up the chance for him.
What a player this boy's been. I mean, he was a fouled centre forward, wasn't he? He looked like no one would ever want to take him for the money what they paid for him. All of a sudden, Eddie slipped him back into midfield, playing off the left, threatens it, goes and wins the ball back and makes great runs and fantastic finish. Now they make their own problems again. Straight ball from Eric into Sonny, and they're going to nick it off him, and then Murphy just hits that one from distance. Looks like Hugo could have done a bit better, but their Schär just goes in with him and says, all right, I'm going to get you. I'm going to nice and tight, very aggressive. And when he picks out, he runs him beyond, defenders back off, no one anywhere near him, and he thinks, you know what, I might as well take a pot shot here, and he just flies past Hugo Lloris here. No chance, Shay, or it looks like he should have dived. Yeah, great cut back there, Longstaff, wasn't it? And he just dribbles, and Hugo has to save that one without a doubt. He's drilled it from a narrow angle. He comes off unopposed, just pops it off, and then third man run there. Great cut back, good awareness, and he just drives it low across the goalkeeper. You've got to save that one, Shay.
Yeah, Hugo will look back at that. You know, he spoke about an injury after the game. Hugo Lloris, but a player of his calibre, any goalkeeper in the Premier League should be stopping that, I think.
Yeah.
But brilliant from Isak.
Took Newcastle 21 minutes to score 5 goals. It's the second fastest any Premier League side has reached that milestone. Only Manchester City have done it quicker, and that was after 18 minutes against Watford in a game that finished 8-0 to City back in September 2019. But it's what this does to confidence levels. to Newcastle right now for the run-in. They could not be in a better place right now.
Well, it just shows you as well after the defeat last week, 3-0, they looked a shot of themselves last week. And Eddie Howe was right after the game straight away. He goes, it was a one-off. It was a bad day at the office. We park it to one side. We've got a massive game against Tottenham next week. We have to bounce back. And no one would have thought 6 goals at home to Tottenham. Like, that's just stuff of dreams, isn't it? But it's a phenomenal bounce back from the team. Before the Aston Villa game, they won 5 games, 5 wins on the bounce. Obviously a blip at Aston Villa. Now they're back on winning ways, and really they go to Everton Thursday night. To Goodison, it won't be easy. They're fighting for the lives at the bottom of the league, but if they can beat them, then they're not home and dry, but they're nearly there.
Yeah, it's okay saying it with words, but it's about acting like it, and he exactly did. Gordon was the only change he made. He's alright saying, no, we dust ourselves down, we've been competitive in all the other games, and then making wholesale changes. He didn't do that. He stuck with his team. Expected Almiron to come in for Murphy. Good job. I mean, I would have had Murphy in the team. I said that before. Almiron. I mean, look at Murphy's performance today. Magnificent. Sign of a good manager to stick with him. Now, you imagine the training now. Between now and like the next games, they're all buzzing. They all feel part of it. He's great management. He's even give Gordon some minutes there at the end. He's brought him on and says he hasn't done it. He threw his toys out the pram when he brought him off. He started him in the next game against Villa. He didn't perform. He brought him off. He's left him out. It's exactly how you need to treat players.
You mentioned Almiron. He comes off the bench, as does Callum Wilson. And as it happened, Almiron and Wilson combined for goal number 6 for Newcastle. Literally seconds, having both come on.
They're on the pitch a minute, Manish, and it's... it's great play again from Newcastle. They get a bit of luck, I think, when it falls to Almiron. It gets a bit of a deflection. But again, the Tottenham defenders are on their heels. They're sleeping. Wilson's alive in the box, and this is Wilson's first touch, so it's hard to keep people happy, especially when you don't start. But if after a minute you come off the bench, you're going home happy as a striker because you've got a goal. But a lot of things fell for Newcastle. To say this could have deflected anywhere, but it's fallen to the feet of Wilson. But again, the fullback Pero's doesn't know he's even there, to be honest. But Wilson will take that all day. So it's a brilliant finish from Callum Wilson, and again he's a striker on form as well. Both strikers.
Yeah.
Tim, if you're going to finish in the top 7, you're going to have to beat your other big 6 contenders or top 6 contenders. So of those 7 teams currently top down to Villa, they've only managed 1 win.
And it was against Man City, which is amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's very much an outlier, though.
You have to win the head-to-heads. If you're going to stay in the league, you need to win the head-to-heads against teams around you. If you need to finish in the top 4, you need to win the head-to-heads. They do not do it. End of story.
3 of the next 4 games against sides in the top 7.
Yeah. That bodes well, doesn't it? I mean, listen.
Sorry, the good news just keeps coming.
It's an uphill task for them. I'll say it again, especially on the back of this performance, and they have to go to the London Stadium now. It's going to be very, very difficult. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, sorry.
As Tim says as well, they've been challenging for the Champions League spots all season. If they're not careful, they'll miss out in Europe altogether. Yeah. And again, it goes back to the people in charge at the very, very top. Why didn't they make a permanent manager a month ago, whenever we sacked Conte? I don't understand.
Are you getting the impression Newcastle could be replacing Spurs as top 6 contenders, the way things are going right now?
Well, top 4, I'm hoping, Manish.
Top 4. No, I'm talking about, on a regular basis.
I mean, as I said before the show, if they can qualify this season, the financials, the money they get from Champions League qualification, the better players they can attract, it's inevitable they'll be up challenging top 6 every season because it's a snowball effect. It grows and grows and grows. They can attract better players. Eddie Howe gets backed by the owners who have got the money, so things are looking up.
Not only that, Liverpool are never going to be as bad, nor Chelsea.
It's an opportunity.
That's your best chance to finish in the top 4.
Still remaining as calm as ever, Eddie Howe. He wasn't going to answer that question, but did they play like a Champions League side?
Yeah, they did. I mean, I suppose you could say the opposition didn't play. They played like a championship side, I suppose, maybe at times Tottenham today. But again, as Eddie says, the fast start, the way they came out of the blocks was absolutely brilliant. And again, it's a statement to Tottenham and the teams around them, Man United. I mean, we talked about Aston Villa before the game as well. They're there hopefully for the long term. And again, with the ownership and the backing, then Eddie's done an amazing job.
They're riding this crest of a wave, and we often speak about the expectation at St James's Park, which has often got the better of previous Newcastle squads. And as they stepped out today, you both observed just how big physically the Newcastle players were over their Tottenham counterparts, and they delivered, did they not?
Well, again, we talked about Trippier before the game as well. He said play delivery, but you've got the likes of Dan Burn, Botman, Cher, Joe Linton. They've got a physicality to them as well, so they can play some nice stuff, as you've seen today, some great goals. But they can put a tackle in, or they can win a few aerial battles as well. And in the Premier League, you need to do all of that. You need to play some nice stuff, but you need to put your foot in at times as well. And they have got that as well.
They want to work hard. They want to work hard out of possession. Longstaff's huge for him. Local boy. I keep going back to it. You need local kids in your team. It really means at their heart. Even Dan Burn is come from Brighton. Bringing him back to Newcastle was an inspired move. Just for his personality. It's like they can relate to him. The fans. There was the connection between the crowd and the pitch out there at St James's Park at the moment is unbelievable. It's better than most clubs you would ever see. It wasn't like that when Mike Ashley was the owner. Now the ownership has changed and the connection has been brought by the manager. But some of them players, them fans would have stood there a couple of years ago saying that some of them players, a lot of them what performed there today, would have said, he's not good enough for Newcastle. This one's not good enough. Now they look good enough because of Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe has made them good enough. He puts them in a position to succeed. He doesn't want them to foul. And he plays him in a position where he gets the best out of them. They've been outstanding from this start of this season, even before last season, but carrying on from this season till now. They just need to finish the job off now. And I think they deserve a Champions League spot. I really think they deserve it for the job what he's done. And he deserves to carry this project on for the future, because Champions League football means bringing in the best players. And I don't think that in Eddie Howe's eyes, that doesn't mean getting rid of the ones he's already got. Some will have to go. They can't all stay, but they can't also all leave in financial fair play. So he will bring some ones, but he'll be very selective. There's not a scattergun approach with regarding their recruitment. He'll be very selective and he'll get the right people and he'll get the best out of them.
What's the most impressive one thing that Eddie Howe has done for you so far?
I think Tim mentioned improving players like Murphy, for example, and I think recruitment's been key as well. And I think it's easy to throw, I don't know, mud or whatever you want to call it, at Newcastle as a club, because they have brought fresh owners in, they've got new money. But at the same time, like so Joe Linton was there before Murphy, these people he's brought in, and then they add to that with Bruno Guimaraes, Botman at the back, Trippier we talked about before the game. It's not just a good player, but they've brought a personality, a character that's going to help the team. Like Murphy's the best example I can think of. If he starts, he's obviously buzzing. If he doesn't start, he's still happy that they get the result at the end. And that comes from the manager. They have that sort of blend. You look at Chelsea, they spent over 600 million on a squad.
Yes.
They don't know who's starting, what's going on. They need a bigger changing room. Yeah. It's getting the right people, and as Tim says, not too many players as well. Getting that balance.
But do they need to continue that philosophy, make it more of an evolution and not revolution?
I think
to not lose kind of sight of, of what they're trying to do.
What they are.
Yeah.
The fans need to feel them on the pitch, need to know that connection, that identity. And Shay's absolutely right. You see when Isak comes off today, he scored 2 goals. He wants to stay on the pitch. Of course he does. But the reception what Callum Wilson gave him when he's come off, they're friends. They're friends off. You don't have to be friends, but they got that respect. But they loving each other at the moment. It's just a wonderful environment. But that it's been created. It doesn't just happen. Yeah. That environment happens. It's easier when you're winning games, certainly. But even on the back of a defeat last week, disappointing defeat away to Aston Villa, 3-0, heavy defeat for them. First time he's let them down all season. The players, he stuck with them, and they will repay him in the future.
Okay.